Hi everyone. So we will do endogenous growth theory in this particular lecture. So this will be the last in sequence of growth theories. So we will see endogenous growth theory. Okay. So this is also called as new growth theory. Why? Because it is very recent. In 1980s, uh, like from the advent of 1980s, it started, and now in recent years also there are some growth theories developed. So endogenous growth theory is also called as new growth theory, also called as AK model of growth. Why AK model of growth? Because here the A, that is the technological progress, depends on capital accumulation. Means A is endogenous. That's why it is called as AK model of growth. This is contrasting to the exogenous model of growth, which was developed by neoclassical growth theorists. The main proponent was Solo Swan model. Okay. So now, one more thing, I just want to clear you that this growth theory basically has three main proponents. Those are Arrow, Romar, and Lucas. Okay. So here also we will explain the long run growth rate of an economy, and this time it will based on endogenous factors as against to exogenous factors. Okay. So like in the same way, in every model, we start with the assumption and then we build upon the model. You will see the assumptions of the model. So first is there are many forms in the market. Many forms in the market. The market knowledge is a non-rival good. Knowledge is a non-rival good. Means if like no one is like if you are a person who is accumulating some knowledge, then it will not create a rival part to the other people who is seeking knowledge. Okay, so that's why it is called as non-rival good. If there is no competitor. Three is there is increasing returns to scale. Increasing returns to scale. And the last one is technological advancement comes from what people do. Okay, technological advancement occur from what people basically do. Now, there are three proponents of endogenous growth model. So we will see one by one. And in all the growth models, we will see how endogeneity of technological progress will happen in different ways. Okay, so first we will see arrow. From this model, you will itself be very clear why there is endogeneity and how endogeneity occurs. One thing is clear: every modern growth theorist gave the proponents the technological progress is endogenous, but how it is endogenous is being differently answered by different growth economics, different modern growth economics. Okay. First is Arrow learning by doing model. Learning by doing model was given in 1962. Okay. So Arrow model, from the wording itself, you will be able to understand why learning by doing imply endogeneity in technological progress. So at any moment of time, new capital goods basically incorporate all the knowledge then available based on the accumulated experience. So this is a concept called like in real world you can easily see if a person has a more experience, then he is more valuable. In the same way, if a technology has a more experience as compared to other, then that technology has an edge, and they will help economy to perform better. Okay. And the formulation given by Aero was AKFAILI. AK is endogenous technological progress, K is stock of capital, L is stock of labor, and YI is the output of the firm. So you see key long run growth depending on endogenous technological progress. Okay. Then we have second one given by and first, before discussing the Romer and Lucas, I will give you some other models similar to Arrow. The first one is Levhari-Sesensky model. So these all are endogenous growth theories. Sesensky model. He basically generalized and extended the Arrow model, and they have emphasized the spillover effect. Spillover effect. Spillover effect in the sense that, let's say you acquire some sort of knowledge. This will be beneficial for the society. So your knowledge contributes, or you can say spill over to the whole society. So this is called spillover effect according to Levhari-Sesensky model. Okay. And why this spillover effect? Because we have assumed knowledge is a non-rival good. Means if you are acquiring knowledge, then it will not be confined to you only. Okay. There will be positive spillover effect of your knowledge if you have acquired a positive knowledge. Okay. Then second one is the King-Robson model. He emphasized learning by watching as counter to the Arrow learning by doing. Okay. He emphasized learning by watching. Why? Learning by watching means the innovation of one firm can be adopted by the other firm. So it means that some firm innovates, other firm will watch their innovation and they will incorporate that innovation into their firm. So this will create long run growth rate. Ultimately, the goal of this growth model to achieve maximum growth within the economy. Source can be whatever. Then we have the Romer model. Romer published two papers. First was published like two paper on endogenous growth. First paper was published in 1986. And he gave the concept learning by investment in research and development. Investment in research and development. Why? Research and development will create innovation. That innovation will bring growth rate. And also that innovation will make technology more efficient, more innovative, more accurate. Okay. Now we will see the second model called the Lucas model. This Lucas model was being like this Lucas used the endogenous growth model developed by Ujawa. So you can say this is also basically followed Ujawa endogenous growth. And Lucas is saying that learning should be done, or you can say innovation can be done if you invest in human capital. Investment in human capital rather ki you are investing in physical capital rather than physical capital. Physical capital means you are, and this is also similar to what Marx said ki there was a concept of constant capital and the concept of variable capital. So you can say ki this is similar to Marx constant and variable capital. So human capital means invest in education, health. These are some of the areas. Okay. Then physical capital, I already told you ki this is investment in physical assets like buying inputs, buying raw materials, intermediate goods. Okay. The formulation goes like this: AKI, and these all factors try to imply the same. The long run growth rate will be achieved, but the mode or the factors who are responsible for this long run growth rate is different. Okay. And one more thing is similar ki all these models are called as AK model because in their formulation you will see ki this technological progress is being influenced by this capital thing. Either it is investing in human capital or investing in physical capital. Okay. Then we have HI and HE. HI is investment in human capital. HE is economy's average level of human capital. Okay. And KI is physical capital. Physical capital. Then we will see last one, that is the Romer's. Again, the Romer model, and this is Romer's second paper. First paper we already seen. Romer's model of technical change. Technological change. The second paper given in 1990. Okay. He invokes human capital along with existing stock of knowledge. Okay, so he was saying ki, okay, so there is some existing knowledge, try to build upon that knowledge. Okay, by investing in human capital means a certain economy, or you can say India have some knowledge beforehand, but invest more in research and development to build upon that knowledge, or you can say to refine that knowledge or complement that knowledge. Okay. And what is the basis for this? The basis is ki ideas are more important than natural resources. The main reason behind investment in human capital is because the ideas are more important than natural resources. And this was proved by Japan. How? Japan, the best example is Japan. Okay. Also gave his contribution in the theory of Asian miracles, where we have this Japan, Singapore, South Korea. So these are the nations who were also called as Asian tigers. So Japan basically lack natural resources, but they were open to new Western ideas. Okay, so they imported US machines and they dismantled them to see how they work. Okay, and then they basically manufactured their better version. So this proves the Romer's model is true because Romer's model is saying कि invest in human capital to complement the existing knowledge, which was being done by Japan in the past to complement the existing knowledge. Okay. Now we will see some criticism for new growth theory. So this concludes the criticism, model formulation and the decision for, or you can say deciding long run equilibrium growth rate. Now we will see some criticism. First is that there is nothing new in the new endogenous growth theory. Why? Because concept of endogeneity was also discussed by Calder, we have seen. And again, the second assumption, that is increasing returns to scale. So we will write concept of endogeneity was also there in Calder, taken from Calder, and this was said by Srinivas. Srinivasan said the concept of endogeneity was taken from Calder, and the concept of IRS, that is increasing returns to scale, is taken from neoclassical theory. So there is nothing new in this new endogenous growth theory. Second is there is too much emphasis on human capital, and they are neglecting the role of institution. Third is they basically gave two concepts, that is physical capital and human capital. But the difference between physical capital and human capital was not clear. So this is also one of the criticism. Then we have whether they predicted convergence or not. Like in classical solo model, we have seen there are the conditions where absolute or conditional convergence is happening, and there are some situations where unconditional convergence is happening. But in case of endogenous growth model, there is no convergence. Means convergence is not there. There is divergence. Why? The main reason is that there is no diminishing return. There is increasing returns. Increasing returns means that if there is any sort of, you can say, if there is any sort of increment in technological progress, or you can say technology is getting redundant, then new innovation will take over, and this will continue the process of growth. So that's why there is sustained growth. There is no convergence concept, sustained growth. Then we will talk about key superiority over exogenous model. Means how it is better than exogenous model. So first is the growth is self-sustaining. The sustained growth is happening, which is a good thing for economy. Okay, so if economy is prospering for a, you can say, high GDP growth rate, then sustained growth will be helpful. So this is a good feature as compared to exogenous. Then policy choices like infrastructure investment in R&D, research and development. So these directly impact long-run growth. Okay. So this is also a superior thing as compared to exogenous model. And then third one is they predict divergence. So divergence is something which is favored by capitalist economy. Capitalist economy or rich country do not want this convergence concept. And this is very means normal. Like if you are a rich person, you will not want all the poor people become equal to your income. So this will create a conflict in the society. Why? Because no one will be left over to do the worker job. So this was the concept why it is superior over exogenous model. Then there are some what are the implications for LDCs? Implication of endogenous model for both countries, lower developing countries and the developed countries. This is lower developing countries and developed countries. For lower developing countries, investment in human capital, that is education and wealth, subsidies by state, subsidy provided by state. So these are the 2 points which basically imply for the lower developing countries in the endogenous growth model. And for developed countries, they have talked about investment in R&D. There is no convergence. There is contribution to growth. So these are the things which are very much aligning with the development process in the developed economy. Okay. So these are some sort of, and last for this, one more thing which is important, that is capital accumulation equation, which is a contrasting feature to solo model. Capital accumulation equation. Okay, capital accumulation equation. So capital accumulation equation, change in capital stock will be equal to and how does it can, that is saving is equal to investment. Investment is K dot, that is change in capital. Saving is can be written as this, and Y is equal to AK. So this Y get replaced as AK. So this is the savings thing. But net investment may we know that depreciation should be subtracted. So this will be subtracted. Now for steady state growth rate, K dot must be equal to 0. And if it is 0, then okay, sorry. For calculating the growth rate, we will just do K dot upon K, and if you will divide both sides by K, so this is the growth rate. So this is the growth rate, and in case of, I think, and if you will keep it equal to 0, then we will get the steady state growth rate. Okay, so this is equilibrium growth rate, but we will also figure the steady state growth rate. So steady state growth rate SA will be equal to delta Y, because this will equal to 0 in steady state case. In steady state case, so if you will compare it with solo model, there we have seen Sy into n plus delta upon K. So that equation is a solo, like in steady state case in solo model or in neoclassical growth model. So this completes all the growth theories. And after completing all these things, I just want to give you the summarized picture. What things which you have to focus in the growth model. First is the steady state growth rate condition. Steady state condition. Applicability to LDCs. And this was also for the development theory. And here you have to make a table. First is Romar model. Second is Solo Swan model. Third is Robinson model. Then you have Calder. Then you have Passinati. And the last you have endogenous growth theory. Endogenous growth theory. In all the case, steady state condition, or you can say long run equilibrium growth rate condition. Growth rate condition. HD, we all know G is equal to GW is equal to G. And knife edge equilibrium basically gives you the concept for steady state, knife edge equilibrium. Not very much applicable to LDC. Solo Swan, we have SW is equal to SY is equal to N plus delta into KT. Robinson, you have delta K upon K is equal to delta N upon N, also called as golden age. This is also not very much applicable to the, you can say, lower developing economy. From Robinson, all these models are applicable to, or you can say, more applicable to lower developing economy. Why? They talk about distribution. And endogenous also, they talk about the concept of convergence. Okay. Sorry, this did not talk about, but they have talked about investment in subsidy. So subsidy is not that much, you can say, discussed. So this is not that much applicable to LDCs, but these are distribution theory where share of income was also distributed to the worker class. So And they have also considered the issue of unemployment. So that's why these are more applicable to lower developing economies. Then Calder, two cases, constant population, expanding population, growth rate, G is equal to alpha double dash upon 1 upon beta double dash. Here growth rate is equal to G plus lambda. Lambda is the maximum population growth. And now for endogenous, we have 3. Fascinity is similar to Calder. Endogenous, we have Arrow, Romer, or you can say Arrow, Lucas, Romer. Learning by doing, learning by investment in physical human capital. Here, learning by investment in research and development. So I have summarized the whole growth theory here. So I hope this lecture will be helpful. I have started this lecture. I think you must have to start from the scratch. Like first lecture you have to go through, then that will build your foundation for the further development theory and growth theory. Okay. And I think if you will go all through these lectures, you will not need to consult any other sources. Okay. So that much I can insist. Thank you.